How much is Big Pharma paying you? This ad was brought to you by Big Pharma. Someone is funding anti-Kratom pieces like this. They keep showing up every few weeks from these creators I've never heard of. It's sus. Yeah, man. It's very, very sus. A lot of people recently online seem to be sharing stories of their negative experiences with a very addictive substance. It might be because of the fact that this is a non-regulated substance in the States that is just marketed as if it's an energy drink, so more and more people are aware of it and are sucked into it and then are having issues with it. But actually, if you think about it, it could actually just be a giant, powerful entity that seems to want to control the narrative within America. I made a video 2 weeks ago about Kratom. It is a drug that essentially plays with the opioid receptors in the brain, and I was addicted to it for a couple years. I have now not had any in over a year. I'm very happy about that. And I thought that my video would be really thorough as an explanation of addiction, explaining about the substance, showing a bit of a nuance there about regulation versus banning and such. However, the internet had a different story. So if you're wondering why, for some reason, any sort of conversation about this drug in particular gets comments like this, I'm a Big Pharma shill, guys. Strap yourselves in, because I think this is quite interesting. Despite the fact that, thanks for the money, Big Pharma. Oh, sorry, yet again, I like to have a CEO of a different company sit behind me every time. Well, how much was it? Thanks to the big bag of money, thanks. Yeah, so that pharma CEO, he gave me some money. It's weird that he didn't ask me at first to like pronounce it the stupid American way, though. You'd think I would have been like Kratom. This sounds Kratom. But I pronounced it my way, but thanks for letting me say what I want. Anyway, jokes aside, this comment in particular we have, I swear this video guy, it's 2025 and video guy, that's me, I'm the video guy. This video guy is a paid shill and it drug ad sponsored by some anti-Kratom group. The story is pathetic and way over the top. So over the top, insane stories about Kratom. I agree. In fact, that's the entire reason why I made the video. It was over the top. It was insane. And when I was experiencing that, I had the ability to look at it and go, what the heck am I doing right now? And yet I continued. I mean, I do have this photo I found on my phone from that exact day. Can you believe that on that day, I very nearly got my tripod and camera because I wanted to remember this moment because of how insane I felt it was. And I wanted to almost like be able to view it from when I was out. At that point, I knew I had a problem. And I was like, I want to like remember this moment and be able to be like, oh God, that was rock bottom. And yet I didn't, for two reasons. One, I was so unbelievably ashamed that I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't even want to look at myself doing this. And the second reason, it would have taken too long. I was too busy shaking the safe to get the stuff out. But you might be wondering why, with all the detail in that story, so many people immediately have gone to the denial phase, into you're paid by a shill. You know, you're a shill. You're paid for. You're funded. Interestingly, it's because, from my experience, deep into the community that take this drug, it almost splits realities in half in a way, into two separate realities. You've got people that are taking it responsibly, all right? And then you've got the people that they should have done their research, okay? I've seen this from the comments. So it reminds me essentially of when I used to play RuneScape. Whatever level I am, that's pretty good, right? But everyone below me is a bit of a noob. Learn how to play. If you're actually a higher level than me, get life. Come on, try hard. Now, as I keep climbing up though, I'm still pretty normal. And I think that's a normal relative experience people have with gaming and with lots of things, including taking drugs. You see, when it comes to taking Kratom, anyone that has abused it, or rather anyone that experiences the negative withdrawals, gets addicted to it, well, that's because they didn't use it correctly. This addictive substance that very much like this is the path that it takes you down. Well, you didn't use it correctly, unlike me. Even though people that say that eventually end up going down the same path. Who knows? No, blame the user, not the substance. That's the way it works. And I don't feel like these people asking if Big Pharma is paying me or accusing me of these types of things, they aren't really attacking me as much as putting up a giant wall to protect themselves. I don't really think many of these people have actually watched the entire video, or they might have agreed with me, as in the video I was talking about regulation being very important in terms of not getting new users hooked on this stuff. The fact that this is in a gas station in front of you as you're going to pay is really bad, right? Like, sure, you could make the argument that it is very useful for people that have been taking harder substances to wean them off. But we shouldn't be encouraging new people that don't know what it is to be marketed this item that looks like an energy drink. It looks like a 5-hour energy. There's a reason they marketed it like that. It's evil. And yet people are like, no, they're so scared of the regulation, even though that would also come with possibly cleaning up the quality and everything else. What a lot of people don't realize, or maybe they're in denial about it, is the pipeline also goes the other way. I discovered Kratom in 2010, and it made me an opiate addict. It was advertised as a way to get off opiates, and people said it wasn't addictive. I used it for 2 weeks to help me get through exams, and when I tried to stop, the withdrawal was absolutely unbearable. You could buy a kilogram of dried powder online for $70 at the time, which would last a couple months, so despite over 100 attempts to stop, eventually I switched to opiates. Years later, I got on methadone, and 15 years later, after trying Kratom, I'm still trapped because of it. And I will say, that is a very relatable thing. Luckily for me, I never actually went down the pipeline of going into harder substances. But when I was in the thick of my addiction on this, and I was desperately trying to find a way to stop taking Kratom, there was definitely a very strong thought in my mind many times. I would look up information about like, well, if I can't take Kratom, I do have some leftover pills, and that's a horrifying thing to think. I've heard so many stories about people getting hooked on opiates, and yet, when you are in a level of addiction with an opioid, with something that's messing with the opiate part of your brain, that is going to need to be fixed in a way. And I just want to have an honest conversation about addiction, because I feel like so many people, even after that video, a lot of people did understand, but a lot of people still don't understand. And I'm going to try and speak from my own experience if this helps people understand it. The way that I can describe the feeling that slowly crept up wasn't all at once, but there was this feeling right in my core, in my chest, almost as if it was oscillating at a different frequency to everything else. So, the way that you're walking, imagine you're just having a normal day. You're not really thinking about moving your hands as you walk, right? You're not really thinking about breathing. Those things come naturally. Just imagine that, except there's still a part in the middle, though, that you're always aware of. Almost as if you've got something in your teeth, except that thing in your teeth is in your chest. And you're always aware of it. And you're like, don't know what's wrong, but it doesn't really feel nice. Because it was so slow and insidious, I didn't place it as Kratom being the reason. It was just like, oh yeah, I do remember I've been anxious for a bit. Like, it's just like, oh, I've been anxious since that thing, And so that's just always been there. But thankfully, this green powder I've been taking seems to be quelling that. So that's quite nice. That's really nice. I'm so glad I have this substance that's able to get rid of that feeling. When in reality, the substance, or the lack thereof, is causing the very feeling. And it is such an uncomfortable feeling that the idea of, oh, well, I can't take this, I gotta do this. Well, maybe I have something else that will solve this problem. And so when this person says that they ended up turning into harder drugs because of Kratom, yes, like that makes so much sense, because I had those thoughts so many times, because I just wanted to end this feeling, and everything I did to try and end it that was natural didn't work, because I was taking this Kratom drug. And it's not something that happens the first time you take Kratom. People will say, oh, I took Kratom, there's nothing happened to me. In fact, there's loads of comments in the video trying to tell us, let's see, it isn't habit forming, guys. I understand that psychological panic, but this video is BS. Kratom's not that addictive. I used it. When people are first taking it, they are in this honeymooning phase. Guys, there's nothing wrong with this. I've taken it and everything's fine. It makes me feel really nice. I'm more social and I'm more productive. The ADHD parts, they're not as bad anymore. And I didn't take it for like a week and everything's fine, because when you first start taking it, that is how it works. It gets you sucked in really easily. And then the more you take it, the more it starts to, put a barb in your brain, is how I felt it. Almost as if like it was so hooked in that no matter what I was doing when I was in the thick of it, it was like a constant state of my mind rushing back to it, thinking about anything, having a conversation. There's a thought that I could be doing that to make myself feel better about anything. Like, I'm having this conversation, oh, it's really difficult. I bet it would be easier. And I know I've said that a couple times in the video, but I really wanted to emphasize just how it feels like that. Because these people that are early on, or maybe they've just had really good success with it at first, they've not had any issues that they've fallen into with it negatively yet, they seem to feel like anyone that has had problems, they've done something wrong, they're a problem, it's blame the user, there's nothing wrong with this thing that they've been taking, and they seem to be in denial about the addictive tendencies. Sharing things like it's not addictive and not habit forming is so evil. What they don't realize they're doing, because they're still in their denial phase, is they are getting someone else innocently hooked, like that guy that ended up turning to opiates. I saw a comment that said, I've been taking Kratom daily for 5 years, and I can quit just fine. And I'm like, oh man, you've been taking it daily for 5 years? Yeah, you can quit. When? Tomorrow. Yeah, totally. It'd be easy. I don't think these people want to think about it. They can't really admit there's a problem, because then you have to admit some really uncomfortable truths about yourself, which is you are powerless to a substance that changes your mind in ways that are, ugh. I'm so happy there were so many people that were moved by the video enough. I saw comments from people that said they'd never tried it, but they literally were given some and it was in their drawer and they're going to be binning it after watching the video. And I was like, thank God. The thing is, so many people are sharing that, actually, let's move the goalposts. The issue isn't Kratom, guys. This guy is a liar because he's making a video about this stupid little drink. That's a concentrate. That is very bad. The Kratom tea never hurt nobody. Oh, yet again, it's an issue of what I'm doing is fine. What those guys are doing, that's some sick stuff. They like to have this like little tribalism thing. The Kratom subreddit and like the 7.0 subreddit. Oh God, no, those people are degenerates. Us and our tea powder. It's very interesting. I feel like if you compare users of the Kratom subreddit, or Kratom in general, with the heroin one, the difference between the way they talk about their addiction, the Kratom ones are very much not believing they have an addiction. They're just all having the same good time every single day, taking 3, 5, 6 times a day, this little powder that tastes like polyjuice potion. Here's a comment on my video of someone talking about their withdrawal from Kratom, and they said, this time, even 8 hours without, I'm not feeling good. 3 days in, and I have electric jolts running up my spine, so strong when I'm trying to sleep that it wakes me up constantly from snapping my neck back. Don't get me started on the muscle aches, the bone pain, the sweating, the diarrhea, the benzo withdrawal levels of anxiety that result. Yeah, F this stuff. I hate it. And that's just the physical stuff, which you're already thinking is pretty bad, right? Yes, the physical stuff for me was very annoying. It was awful, yes. But what was so much more was the craving stuff, the stuff in the brain, because that kept going for so long. This person said, I was addicted to Kratom for 8 years. I thought it was a miracle plant at the time. Everybody does. When you first try it, it's so insane how interesting that is. This plant, you take it, and it's so almost like it was written for a film or something, that as soon as you take it, you're like, oh my God, it's incredible. It could do no wrong, until it slowly becomes you. Like, it's so sad. Addiction to Kratom back then, 2010, wasn't that well known. I had no clue I was physically addicted to the stuff. Quitting Kratom and the acute withdrawal symptoms was the hardest thing I ever had to endure in my life. I wrecked my brain chemistry and honestly took 3 years to feel normal again. It was that bad. Kratom withdrawal is underestimated. It wasn't the physical withdrawals, roughly the same as an opioid. It was the 6 months of crushing depression and anxiety that followed. Yeah, one of the reasons that I wanted to make that video was, yes, to tell people, like, maybe don't take this drug, don't get started on it, but also genuinely because I found the concept of my own addiction so fascinating, to have watched myself go through that and be completely out of control, and like be able to process the thoughts and see myself doing it was really scary. And I wanted to be able to articulate that so that people had a better understanding of it, because I remember, like, when I was a kid and finding out, like, a family friend had gotten addicted to some pills. And I remember at the time being like, oh, that was really stupid. Like, oh, how did that happen? And, people go, oh, it's her fault. She was abusing it, without realizing, like, she might have been going through a lot of pain and was prescribed some things. And then these things are genuinely addictive, and then it's really difficult to just drop them. If you've never experienced addiction like that, which we are talking about, I think the best thing you can do in this type of situation is just listen to people that have. There's so many situations where most of these comments of people saying fraud or anything else, their number one issue is they're not listening. They're not taking anything in because they can't, because of the denial. But if you've never had any sort of addiction or anything, why would you think you understand how it works then? If someone's expressing an honest experience to you and saying, this is how addiction was for me, to get that and then go, no, that's not what happened. That's really interesting. That's interesting that that's the way your mindset works. If you have like millions of people describing ADHD and how they have it, and you don't have it, so your response instead of listening is, that's not real. Everybody just wants a fix. Well, I think that's quite an interesting response and says more about the person that is in denial and just refusing to listen to anyone else's world experience. What I do find interesting is the split here. You have someone saying, I can't believe this is real. If that addiction was so common, there would be a line up next to every gas station and smoke shop. So this person, from their reality, is like, yeah, there would be a giant line. Same reality, we then have a different guy that says, I work at a smoke shop. We have regulars that come in every day for Kratom products. That's $75.18 a week with tax, or $300 and tax a month. Well, at least the government's making some money off this addiction, you know? At least there's a little silver lining, right, guys? That's great. There's a distinct stage when you're using Kratom where you are kind of desperately seeking validation for it. You want to make sure that you aren't addicted, and you kind of need to find yourself a community of other people that are taking it so that you can feel like, oh yeah, we're all normal here. We're all taking it. It's totally fine. And that's kind of why you get into these echo chambers on Reddit and on Facebook and on YouTube videos where you just kind of want to be with your own community of people that are all taking it. And that way you don't have to think about possibly being addicted to it. I did see this interesting comment on Reddit from someone that has taken a very large amount of different drugs. But what's interesting with him is he said, found Kratom, got off of heroin and meth. I've definitely been through my fair share of withdrawal and dope sickness. Kratom is by far the hardest substance I've ever tried to quit. Maybe not physically, although the withdrawals are the exact same as they were with opiates, but mentally. Oh boy, this shit's hard. I've literally been fighting demons in my head for the last year and a half, just trying to kick this stuff. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Yikes, right? Like, that's what's interesting. If people are like, oh, it's just like coffee, guys. It's just like coffee. Yeah, coffee doesn't cause you to fight like psychological demons for a year of your life and have someone that's taken meth be like, yeah, actually, Kratom was the worst. Because of this stuff. One of the saddest genres of comments that I've got on this are from people who are addicted to the substance who are rationalizing their experience by saying things like, well, I have to have Kratom, I have to take this because if not, I would be on harder substances, or I'd be an alcoholic, or I'd drink all these other things. And it's their brain, or rather the Kratom hook in their brain saying, if you don't have this is how much worse your life will be. You'd be on alcohol, you'd be taking all these things. This false dichotomy of, if not this, my life would be worse, because that's how Kratom makes you feel, is that it's the only thing making your life okay. That is kind of the worst part about addiction, is that it is your brain fighting itself. And it's almost like playing chess with yourself. You can't really win. It's gonna be a draw. I found a deleted post in the drugs subreddit of this guy that was like, I can't stand Kratom advocates. And this one line he said, just really, really opened my eyes. He said, believe me, if Kratom became illegal and you had to pay $80 to $100 a day for a fix like dope, you would all be robbing your grandmothers. And as someone who is, taken Kratom, I understand where he's coming from, because when you're that deep into it, you need to have it in any way possible. The feeling, I understand now how you can get to it on harder substances where you're like, I have to have this. I need to do whatever I can. And it's very much to me like it's opened my eyes. Like I was able to see this, and I'm just very thankful that I was able to get out. On that note, though, I do just want to share more details on how I personally was able to stop taking it, because I do feel like that might help some people that are still on the fence or trying to find different ways. For me personally, as I did say, I did immediately sign up to therapy. I know that's not something that everyone is able to afford and able to do, but I found that very, very helpful. I'm always honest with my therapist about literally everything, because that's why I'm paying them. But not just the therapy or the cycling to and from therapy, which I genuinely felt like really helped me because it was like getting my blood pumping. But the big thing was up here mentally. And the issue was I would relapse, I think twice or thrice. I quit a couple times. And the one time that I'd quit, I was so proud of myself. I think I lasted 30 days and I just bragged about it to everybody I knew. I told all my friends, remember that green stuff I was taking? I'm done. Mate, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so good. I just wanted someone to validate that I had stopped taking it. And I felt so good about it. And I felt clean, but I ended up relapsing. Turns out you really need to make sure you remove yourself from like memories of the habit. You need to remove yourself from communities of the habit, like unfollow the groups that are related to it. Maybe don't talk about that type of thing with other people. And for me, it snuck up on me because I was listening to a podcast that I like. I listen to it all the time. And the host in one of the episodes just ended up talking about how he was taking Kratom right then. And he's a big proponent of it. And I was like, this guy is like a creator like me. He seems fine. And then that part of my brain was like, yeah, he seems fine. What? Yeah, I bet it's been a long time. Why don't you try it again? I bet you can like be like that guy. And sure enough, I went right back in. And in fact, I think that guy actually commented on my video, left me a comment. But when I replied, because I looked at who he was, I went, oh, it literally is the same guy. I was like, yeah, your podcast actually was one of the reasons I relapsed. He deleted his comment. It's not his fault. It's not his podcast's fault. It's really just that it's the Kratom in my brain, right? That's like, you got to take it. I don't blame him at all. But the main way that I was able to quell that part, so to the point where I really don't have any cravings for this anymore. I'm not like having things happen very often where I'm like, oh, if only I could have it. Very much relates to conditioning my brain to think about the negatives that I experienced more than the positives. The reason I came back to it so many times was because I would have this thought of the honeymooning phase. I would have this thought of like, oh, remember how nice it felt? Remember that nice, like, oh, you felt so calm. Remember you felt like you were really social. Oh, your brain just felt like it worked. Your ADHD was kind of like, and I'd have all those positive thoughts when I thought about taking it. And that would be like, oh yeah, oh, I should get some. Like that would always happen. It's like, have the thought, think about the nice things, and then actualize, which was the issue. And so the only way I found of getting out of that cycle was have the thought, immediately stop thinking about the positives and be like, no. Don't forget the part where you were nauseous all the time. Don't forget the part where you would take it because you wanted to get more work done. And then you'd have 2.5 hours of just sitting, not being able to do much because you were nauseous or you felt bad. Or you had the spots in your vision. Or you felt restless when you didn't take it. Or the feeling of being controlled by this thing. Don't forget the stupid part where you had to shake basically every time that thought, that craving, that stupid barb came up in my brain, I had to think about all of the negatives. So that way it would start to have that connection. And since then, it has genuinely worked for me. That's the most I can really describe to people. If hopefully that helps someone else, maybe not with this addiction, but with so many others. We are all humans at the end of the day, and we are all susceptible to addiction as much as we might think that we're not. We are. And it's kind of a humbling experience. And I only hope at the end of the day that you don't start taking this if you haven't. And maybe that whatever you're going through, just know that, hey, things change. You can grow, you can learn, you can fight through things. And I hope that you're okay wherever you are. Also, I need to give a quick note on transparency because I know I've talked about it a lot, but a lot of these comments saying things like I'm accepting funding from some big pharma, some big entity. I don't know how that would even exist. Like, how would I accept money from, I don't know, just a conglomerate idea? Sure, that's a bit delusional, but also accepting money in general without disclosing it, bit strange. Even in my video last week, I got comments from people in my video in which I'm slating Duolingo for having made the app so much worse for most people. And then also talking about how great the certain elements is because, you know, I'm reviewing the app. I got people saying, this sounds like an ad. This is an ad. Duolingo paid you for this. There will never be a moment you're watching a video on my channel in which I'm giving a speech, I'm talking, I'm saying something that I was paid to say where I've not disclosed that I have been paid to say this. That's, first off, I think illegal. There's nothing I dislike more than when you're watching a YouTube video and they start gushing about a certain brand in a way where you're like, oh, that feels very strange. And then they say it's sponsored. Because I'm like, why'd you trick me? Like, why'd you trick me into watching an ad? If you just said this part's sponsored, I can skip it. Or if I'm like, oh, I'm actually interested in this topic, then I can actually watch it. Like, that's fair. I don't like the feeling of being duped into watching an ad. That doesn't feel nice. And so for me personally, I would not like my audience to feel like I've duped them because I don't like it happening to me. I watch a lot of YouTube. Why would I want to be a bad one? You know? So I just want to clarify, if I ever have a sponsored segment in a video, you will notice because a little orange bar will start to appear, and I will also say, this video is sponsored, because guess what? Even this video on a quite intense topic does have a sponsor. So if you don't mind me, today's video is sponsored by mkii. Mkii is a service I've been using for well over a year, and because of that, I've experienced fewer spam calls and fewer spam emails. When you're surfing the web on the internet, there's a lot of times in which you go to a website because you just want to buy a simple product, and yet, oh no, for some reason, you now need to give them your phone number, you need to give them your date of birth, you need to give them all this information. You're like, fine, I'll get it. And then that website decided to sell that data on to a third-party company who then collects all that data and then markets to you different things. They try and learn as much as they can about you. Or worse, there are other websites, especially for those that live in the USA, that take your private information, aka your address, and then charge people to be able to see it. You want to know where this person lives? Oh, good. Give us some money. And it's awful. You can request your private data to be deleted from all of these private data brokers yourself, but there are so many of these stupid companies that it would take you a really, really long time. So Incogni is a service that is existing to do that for you. You give Incogni your information that they're looking on the internet for, and then boom, every time it comes up, they send a letter to the data broker like, oi, get rid of this man's data. And then I don't know why they did it like that in a British accent, but they did. Look at this chart. This is how many different data removal requests Incogni has done on my behalf since I signed up. The number, right? The line goes up. So my private data is in fewer people's hands and allows me to not wind up on as many lists of spam emails and spam calls. And hey, Incogni actually have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're curious and want to take back control of your private information, well, sign up today at incogni.com/Evan Edinger. And if you use my link in the description, you can get this lovely discount. Wow. Thanks, Incogni, very much for sponsoring this video. Very much appreciated. Without further ado, let me wrap this up. Longtime viewers of the channel, do you feel like these are like more of a modern version of what I used to do, the like community videos, except it's more like on a very specific topic? I hope you're enjoying what I've been creating recently. Been trying my best to, just do whatever I'm interested in. I know that they're all over the place at the moment, but I hope you like it. And thank you very much for being a member of this community, especially those of you who sent me such lovely messages about my previous video. Thank you so much. I really hope that you have a lovely rest of your day, and see you next Sunday. Goodbye.